Welcome to Carol Nash Inside Bikes. I have been riding this, the Triumph Scrambler 1200 XC. This is the more road-oriented of the two Scrambler 1200s. You have the XC and you have an XE, which is more off-roady. Although this one has some off-road credentials too. It has 200mm suspension travel, has a bash plate, off-road mode, is not entirely unscramblable. I'm not sure I would like to take it on trails myself. It is a big bike, 230 kilos. It costs 13 grand, so I don't think I would like to drop that down a lane. But you could argue that it is more scramble capable than some of the competition, because I mean, these kind of bikes are starting to appear. In effect, with all the technology and all Triumph's engineering, this is effectively a big adventure bike with a retro styling. But Triumph does have pedigree. Triumph, you know, they can point back to the 60s where people were riding these as scramblers. You know, it might be a little bit of a stretch from Steve McQueen on a TR6 in the Great Escape to this, but the link is there, and Triumph are not alone. You can argue about how tenuous those links are between the old and the new, but you know, it is not completely without merit to say that this bike has scrambling lineage. What this bike has is a lot of style. It's a really good looking bike. I love the look of this bike, and the attention to detail is absolutely spectacular. You have beautiful mixture of gloss and matte paint on it. You have lots of brushed aluminium. You have lots of really nice little touches, like the Monza style filler cap, like the aluminium strap on the tank. There's lots of tiny little things that Triumph really could have made do with much more simpler designs, but they have taken the time to really make this bike look very good. And it does look premium, and it does feel premium. I like the look of it, and it kind of makes me want to ride it off-road, but I'm not gonna. This is the road-going version, and I have chosen this one for a reason, because I don't want to take a big bike like this on trails. On the road, the bike is lovely. It has that Triumph 1200cc parallel twin engine. Now this is the high power version, which has been lifted from the Thruxton. The engine makes 90 horsepower, it makes 110 newton meters of torque, and the key is that torque peak is at 4,500 revs. So you get really nice low down power. The engine has been tuned for this scrambly kind of riding. So you can just cruise in high gears, flip the throttle, and the power is always there. And it is a lovely, lovely, nice big wave of torque and lots of power that will carry you. In terms of the chassis, you have a really nice twin shock setup at the back. It's got that 60s look, but it's not an old-fashioned setup. It's an Öhlins fully adjustable twin shock system that works really well. At the front, you have 45mm Showa upside-down forks, again fully adjustable, and the suspension feel is really nice. It's quite comfortable without being too soft. Glides over bumps very nicely. It doesn't wallow in the corners. It's a really good setup, and I haven't even touched the settings on it. The wheels are another really nice touch. Wire spoked wheels, but the spokes come out at the side of the rim, so you can run it on tubeless tires. I don't know about everyone else, but I absolutely dread changing tubed tires. But the front is still a 21-inch. You do have that sort of off-road capable front wheel there. It being a 21-inch, you might think that it sort of slows down the steering a bit, but I don't think it really does. I don't think the steering needs to be any quicker than it is. The bike feels very agile for what it is, a big 1200cc bike. It does turn pretty happily, and it stays stable in the corners. The electronics package is pretty impressive. It's not huge, but it's got everything that you need. You have a ride-by-wire, so that gives you ride modes, and you have rain, road, sport, off-road, and a customizable ride mode. There's a nice difference between them as well, and the ABS and traction control settings change within those modes. ABS and traction control are not corner sensitive on this one, but it's not something that I have so far missed on this machine. They both work really well. And another nice thing is the cruise control. It's a one-button cruise control system, so you press the button once to activate the system, and then you press it again to set the speed, and that's it. That means that you can't sort of toggle the speed up and down with like little plus and minus buttons, but it works well. It doesn't really need anything more than that. It's all nice and simple. The switch gear reflects that. It's nice and simple, easy big buttons. They're backlit buttons as well, so that will help in the dark. Now there are some areas of this bike that I'm not entirely in love with, and that's one of them is that exhaust. It looks lovely when it's run high like that, but it does get very hot and it is right against your leg. Especially in town it can get a bit bothersome. It also means that you can't quite get your right leg into the tank to really anchor yourself into the bike if you're braking hard or when you're riding on a motorway and the wind is buffeting you. It would be nice to just be able to grab the bike a little bit harder. Now, one thing that the Scrambler is big. It is 230 kilos wet, and you can really feel that weight when you're pushing the bike around. It doesn't feel heavy when you're riding it. As most bikes, it sort of magically loses its weight. It is quite low, so the seat is only 840mm high. Bars are wide, mirrors are good. Overall, it's a very pleasant bike to ride. I would happily do longer distances on it. I just wouldn't necessarily take it on a trail. But as a bike to have, as an everyday bike, as a commuter, doing maybe a little bit of touring even, it's a wonderful bike. I really have enjoyed it. This particular bike is 13 grand with this color scheme, and the Ducatis and BMs start at 12, 13 as well, so they're similarly priced. You could argue that this one has a bit more off-road credentials, but whether you actually use that or not is a different matter. But what it is a beautiful bike, which is a lot of fun to ride, and if you can deal with your right leg getting rather hot, there's not much else to really whinge about. I've really enjoyed riding it, and I'm gonna go and ride a bit more. I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.